Being an architect, I used to not only read books but also watch TV documentaries in order to pick up information related to my field. My favorite TV series is Live or Die, which has been aired since 2012 and helped me broaden my horizon in architecture. But recently, because I found that the internet is full of the better material, I have been streaming videos, which is a much more efficient way to enhance my knowledge. Why do all people like to watch TV? I reckon that TV plays an indispensable part in the elder people's lives because indulging themselves in TV programs can help them kill time once the children have a hectic life out there and can't spend time on looking after them on a daily basis. Although nowadays TV can furnish the elderly with a multitude of programs such as documentaries and soap opera, they still need to be in talk to and enjoy time with their children, which made TV not able to substitute for the real conversation with their family members like sons and grandsons. Do you often watch TV? I actually prefer watching TV to surfing the internet due to its selectivity and accessibility because the audience can be children, teenagers, and families. The content of TV programs is examined carefully and suitable time frame is arranged in order to avoid having negative impacts on them. What's your favorite TV program? Definitely music channels such as MTV or V channel. These channels offer a wide variety of music every day. In addition, they also interact with their audience by allowing them to vote for the top 20 songs of each week or play the songs they requested. What types of TV programs are popular in your country? In my country these days, reality shows and comedy shows are among the most popular TV programs. I guess it because its content is suitable for audience of any age, for children to the elderly. The fans of reality shows feel interactive and familiar with the competitors, while that of comedy show generally wants to entertain with jokes and laughter. Do you ever watch foreign programs or films? I definitely did enjoy quite a lot of shows and programs for music, movies, fashion, news, and scientific documentaries. Since the foreign are so good at visual editing and content management, most of them are in English because I'm more familiar with this language compared to French or Japanese. What type of programs did you watch when you were a child? Like other children, I watched a number of cartoons and music programs for children when I was a child. Tom and Jerry, Barbie, Disney series are my favorite, which still get me excited whenever I see them on TV now. My mom said I also was kinda attracted to music programs for children that I focus on them completely while eating. Do you think televisions have changed in the past few decades? Do you think television has changed since you were a child? Television indeed have been changing remarkably for the past few years. The technology has become so innovative and competitive to meet the customers' high demands on entertainment. The variety of TV programs is no longer limited to national level but has reached to a number of foreign countries and is significantly diversifying in contents for audience preference. To be innovative, to be developed in technology, to meet one's demand on something, to provide someone with something, to diversify, to vary, to have many choices available. Has television changed your life in any way? I think watching TV have become a habit that I would hardly change. My families always watch news while having dinner together. Personally, I love watching TV for relaxing. After studying as well as keeping myself updated on showbiz, music, movies, landscape, discoveries, and field of science. This as long as I do not become a couch potato, TV have always played an important role in my life, making my life more colorful and opening in front of my eyes the places I never been to. Couch potatoes is mean that a person who is addicted to watching TV to play an important key crucial role in something meant to be essential. Here is an example of 3 typical part 1 questions and 3 answers from a candidate who would get a low to medium score around band 5. Examiner, let's talk about your home country. What is the climate like? Candidate, it's hot most of the time. Sometimes there is rain. Thank you. What are the main industries? Making cars and buses, and there are manufacturers which make plastic things. I see. And what are the main festivals? What does festival mean? It means a special time when communities and families celebrate something. Oh, okay, well, our big festival is in summer. I see. Please note that the answer from these candidates do not contain any grammatical mistakes. Also, it is not a problem that the candidate asks for an explanation of the word festival. The reason that the mark would be quite low is because the information that candidate provided was too basic, and the candidate did not expand on his initial comment. How to answer the part 1 question using a 2-step process. Now here is an example of the same questions from the same examiner to a different candidate. The candidate would receive a band 9 score for this part of the test. Examiner, let's talk about your home country. What is the climate like? Candidate, it's generally hot and humid. Although it rains heavily in October, this has a big influence on our way of life and our industries because work tends to stop in the rainy season. Thank you. What are the main industries? The main industry is the production of cars and buses, which are mostly exported. Plastic items, particularly toys, are important exports as well. In fact, we tend to export most of the products that we manufacture. I see. And what are the main festivals? Sorry, can you explain what the word festival means? I mean a special time when communities and families celebrate something. Saying well, our principal festivals are religious because most people in my country follow the same religion. We have a 3-day festival in summer when people exchange gifts. We also have a National Independence Day in January. On both festivals, families celebrate together and the shop closes for several days, so we need to plan these events carefully as you can imagine. In this second example, the candidate was using more advanced vocabulary humid tend to exchange. This is one reason why the mark would be higher. However, the main reason the band score is high is because the candidate used a 2-step process to answer the question. Let's explain what means the candidate said. We have to give more general piece of information about climate, telling us about its influence. This is what we call the 2-step process for part 1. This means that you give an initial piece of information and then a further, more general piece of information showing that you understand the situation or that you have considered the situation. The answer are roughly 3 sentences in length. You don't need to give more than 3 sentences for a part 1 answer. Roughly means approximately. Please tell me about your hometown. What do people do in the evenings? Band 5 or 6, people go to the main square and drink coffee. Band 9, many people socialize in the main square, especially in the coffee shops. You could say that the main square is the most important social meeting place because we don't have a beach or any big nightclubs as some other towns do. Let's talk about your plans for the future. What kind of career do you want to follow? I want band 5 or 6. I want to be a good scientist, maybe for a big company. Band 9, I plan to be a food scientist, which would mean finish my degree and joining a large retail company. That is challenging, but I think that my personal skills are well suited to that type of environment. Tell me about your family. What do they do? Band 5 says, my parents are teachers. I have a sister. She is a student. Band 9, my parents are both teachers. They teach engineering and biology. I think they have been a big influence on my sister and me because my sister is studying technology and I am applying to Australia. Tell me about your country's food and dish. Band 5 or 6. Our favorite food is meat. Our national dish is a lamb dish like curry. Lamb miền này là chiếm, sạch chiếm lamb. Band 9, we tend to eat a lot of meat, although these days people are trying to eat less meat for health reasons. We have a national dish which is similar to lamb curry, but made in a unique way. Not many people know the recipe, so I think it is always exciting for us. Where are you living at present? Band 5 says, I'm living with 2 other students in an apartment. Band 9, at the moment I'm renting an apartment with 2 other students because we want to be close to the campus, and property in that area is actually quite expensive. I'm pleased with the location because it's very convenient and it's quiet at night. What do you like to do at weekends? Band 5 says, I play tennis a lot. I go to a club near my house. Band 9, my main activity these days is playing tennis. As I belong to a club near my house, there are a lot of social activities as well as the tennis itself. To be honest, I enjoy the social side as much as the sport, so I really look forward to weekend. Describe a holiday or trip that you remember well. My trip to Paris. 7 and where this was 2004 summer school holiday. End of my primary school years. What you did? We saw Paris, Eiffel Tower, lot of cafes and museum, river boats. Who you went there with? School friends and 2 teachers. Best friends spoke French. And say why you remember this holiday or trip so well. End of primary, lot of fun. Also sad, very hot. Teachers broke his arm. In part 2, when you start speaking, you should give in by saying I'm going to talk about or similar, and then paraphrase the notes you made about the general topic heading. You should speak for roughly 30 seconds on each of the 4 points you have made notes about in your preparation. The strategy is that 4 points at usually 30 seconds each, roughly 2 minutes of speaking, which is maximum required. Use this strategy to make sure your speaking is really balanced across the 4 points and so that you reach the 2 minutes. It doesn't matter if you speak for a bit less or more than 30 seconds on the edge of individual point. Try to make each point as natural as possible. Describe a holiday or trip that you remember well. I'm going to talk about a trip that I remember very well, which was a holiday in Paris, the capital of France. Say when and where this was. This happened in 2004 in August, so it was right in the middle of the school holiday. In fact, at that time I was 11 years old and I had just finished my primary school education, so the trip was actually organized by my primary school as a way of making the end of our studies, and the fact that we are going on to secondary school, it was a memorable trip for a lot of reasons. What you did? We knew that Paris was a famous city, and of course we quickly saw all the most important tourist sites such as the Eiffel Tower, which was very impressive and gave us an amazing panoramic view from the platform at the top. We also went on trip on the river boats, which gave us a long tour of the city along the banks of the river and let us see the people of Paris doing their daily jobs. such as running shops and cafes, but we also spend a lot of time in many museums, especially the art museums, and we went to a few range of cafes and restaurants in the evenings. Personally, I found those evenings just as interesting as the big tourist attractions because we could relax and listen to people speaking French, and we could practice ordering snack and refreshment in French. This was tricky at first, but we soon became more confident. Panoramic, the view of the wide areas, it means that ទស្សនីយភាពផ្ទៃដីដ៏ធំ tricky មានន័យថា difficult លំបាក Who you went there with? Who did I travel there with? Well, I went with a group of classmates, in particular my best friend at the time, who spoke French quite well and so was a big help in getting around. In fact, he enjoyed showing off and impressing people with his French, which surprised the local people because not many visitors speak the language. We also had two of our primary teachers who escorted us around and arranged the excursion and so on. The teacher was kept very busy, but they always stayed positive and they told us a great deal about the city and its history, which we enjoy. Escort មានន័យថា escort មានន័យថា go with ទៅជាមួយគ្នា excursion a short journey usually made for pleasure often by a group of people មានន័យថាការធ្វើដំណើរខ្លីមួយដែលសប្បាយជាធម្មតា and say why you remember the holiday or trip so well. The reason I remember this trip so vividly is partly because it was very enjoyable and my first experience of staying in another country for more than a few hours. I remember being nervous and then starting to enjoy all the news we saw. At the same time, unfortunately, we all feel a bit sad because we knew that our primary years were finished and we all know that secondary school would be harder and more demanding for us. I also remember that weather was extremely hot, especially on the subway and inside the buildings during the days because nobody in Paris seemed to have air conditioning. I remember thinking that it was really strange for such modern countries not to have proper cooling systems. One other reason why I remember this holiday was because one of my teacher had an accident. He was walking down the steps outside a museum when it was raining heavily and he slipped over on the wet stone and broke his arm. He had to go to hospital and have emergency treatment. And I remember thinking he was very brave after that to continue escorting us poor peers around with a broken arm in such hot weather. I don't think I would have been so brave and so patient. Answering part 3 opinion questions. Here are examples of some opinion type part 3 question plus 9 answers on the topic of education and work. Examiner, do you think that young people should have detailed career plans? Candidate, in some way, yes, this is important. For example, pupils should think about careers when they choose their exam courses. In addition to what interests them, but on the other hand, it's difficult to have very precious plan at a young age because people and opportunities change rapidly. Overall, I would say that general intentions are useful, but very detailed career plans are not really relevant. Do you think that teachers should use the internet as part of school lessons? I think that this can be useful, for example, to show the profile videos or media reports on subjects they are studying. This helps bring the subject to light. On the other hand, those I wouldn't want a teacher to be constantly searching or referring to internet materials during lesson because it would be distracting or confusing. So I think that well-chosen internet resources can be a benefit if used carefully. It is useful to have a gap year between school and university. Well, a gap year could be useful for some people, for example, to help them learn about work or to get experience of other cultures. What is more, if a student does charity work during a gap year, that's a very positive thing for the person and for society. But there are also examples of young people wasting time on gap years or even having accidents or getting involved in crime. In generally, I think these years can only be useful if they are planned structured properly. Think about how the candidate structure the answers to the opinion type questions. The candidate answer by firstly considering some different side of the question and then giving a personal view at the end. This is the best way to answer an opinion type question. In part 3, remember to consider some different aspects of the question and then give a calm, logical opinion at the end. Don't be emotional or dramatic and don't make joke about the topic. Note also that these answers are longer than the part 1 answers. Part 3 answers are ideally about 4 or 5 sentences long. They may be longer if you know a lot about the topic or if you can think of a lot of points to discuss. Examiner, how can school prepare students for work? There are several ways the school can do this. To start with, they can include examples of work and careers in their lessons. So if the subject is geometry, they could study the career of a successful chemist. For example, schools could also send pupils on visit to workplaces, to offices or factories so that the young people can see workers doing their jobs. Another thing they could do for older pupils is to organize work experience so that students actually try doing a real job for the few hours or days. I think that all these things together would certainly help to prepare young people for work. What can teachers use the internet for in lessons? I can think of two main uses for the internet in classrooms. One is to show examples of videos or audio material which let students see a subject in real life. For example, if a class is studying volcanoes, the teachers could show different types of volcanoes around the world, which would be interesting. Another way would be to let pupils search for information themselves. For example, to research the effect of volcanoes on human populations in history and then report back to the class. Of course, this would have to be managed closely by the teacher. Unemployment among young people is a major problem in many countries. Can you suggest any solutions? Well, I suppose the main solution would be to improve education standards among the young people by spending more on schools and universities. This would help people find jobs and hopefully the jobs would be better paid as well. Another step would be to encourage employers to hire more young people by subsidizing their salaries or offering tax breaks to make employing them so affordable. I also think that some countries could reduce unemployment benefits to young people to stop them living on welfare instead of working. These things are difficult to do and they may be rather unpopular, but I feel that they would certainly work. Why do some young people want to become teachers? I imagine that biggest reason is having an interest in helping children to develop by teaching them useful knowledge and skills. There is probably also a desire to share an interest in a specific subject and to expand the knowledge of this subject in society generally. For example, music teachers are very enthusiastic about music and they want more people to appreciate it. And finally, I think that for some people there is also a third reason, which is an urge to be a positive role model for youngsters. Key to part 3 question with benign model answers. Which are better, small local shops or big supermarkets? I think it depends on your needs. For example, for elderly people or if someone doesn't have a car, local shops are probably more convenient and the personal service may also be better. On the other hand, those large supermarkets are cheaper and offer a much bigger range of products to choose from. Overall, I think that for the most people, the supermarkets are probably the best option. How do stores persuade people to spend money? They use a variety of methods. They often use promotions which make people buy more, for example, 3 for the price of 2, and so on. These offers are usually backed up with advertising, whether on TV, the internet, or in the shop itself, and the advertising emphasizes both both the quality of the product and the money saving. There is another method too, which is to display the products in an attractive way that encourages shoppers to pick them up and look at them. When they are used together, I think these techniques can be very powerful indeed and very effective at persuading the public to spend more. Should we allow TV advertising aimed at children? Well, on the one hand, companies should be free to communicate with their customers, and that includes children. We also sometimes forget that children love TV commercials for all the excitement and humor. But on the other hand, children don't have the ability to judge or choose in the way that adults do, and adverts can exploit this. So, generally speaking, I think we should allow these adverts provided they carefully regulated and controlled by the authority. Why do people like shopping during sale or promotion period? I think we are all familiar with the fun of finding a bargain and feeling we save money. This is probably the main reason, to be frank. I think another reason is the feeling of following the crowd. I mean, if we see thousands of other people heading to the shop, we have an urge to do the same thing even if we don't really need to buy a product. Yes, I think those are the two major reasons. What are the advantages of internet shopping over shopping in stores? I can think of three big advantages of shopping by internet. For one thing, it tends to be cheaper than in store, and it's a huge attraction. Besides that, using the internet is much quicker and more convenient because we don't have to travel or spend time in town centers, so it's better for the environment too in some respects. The third advantage is the ability to compare products very quickly for quality and price, and so make the best choice possible. Are there any possible disadvantages or risks? Well, the biggest danger in the risk of fraud become criminal because criminals access your payment detail or other personal data when you buy online. The other problem is that you don't actually see the product until it's delivered. So you may find it's different from what you expect in terms of the color, the texture, and so on. That's quite a common problem in fact, especially for clothing. Should all shops have facilities for disabled people? There are two sides to this. I agree with people who says that disabled access should be available wherever possible, so that disabled people can go shopping just like everyone else. That's only fair. Of course, but on the other hand, some shops are in locations where it would be impossible or incredibly expensive to install things like lifts or and ramp. For example, in historic building or in the remote sites, I think we need to make an exception for places like that. But all other shops should certainly have these facilities.